Hello, it's me, the door that randomly appeared inside your home that leads to a room that doesn't exist, but you can call me Charlie. Playing more Peglin, of course. Yippee! Okay, I guess need to re-accept that. I think I picked it up last time. How is everybody? Hope are still okay. I have decided that I'm going to randomly yap about stuff to have something to talk about. And it's going to be boring, and you're going to love it. So I kind of, in my brain hole, put together a bunch of scrambled nonsense, none of which make a story themselves, or any of it being much interesting at all, about my last year of high school. And don't know why I've been thinking about this, but I will say that it was one of the most confusing and annoying years of school that I can even remember, which my memory is poor, of course. I've said that about a million times now, I'm pretty sure. But it was just all kinds of confusing the way everything ran. That was a poor shot. So, first half of the year, I had of course I don't remember perfectly, but I had what am I trying to say? The electives that you can choose. So they weren't forced on electives. They had several different stuff, and you can choose whatever you wanted. And I had done programming and Photoshop, which I thought programming might have been a good idea to do. It's kind of more in the realm of something that I'm interested in, and Photoshop kind of in the same realm of being, something that I'd be interested in, not the same realm as programming. But just all of it, like the school's budget plummeted, I'm pretty sure. It had to have. Because none of it worked well. For one, this has not got nothing to do with either of those classes I mentioned, but it made me think of it, being that my English class that I had, the woman who would have taught it, finalized, I don't know what it was, she may have quit, but she either finalized her retirement or she quit at the very beginning of the year. So we had her for 2 seconds on orientation or whatever, the first day where you kind of just go to classes and, kind of get your bearings or whatever. You don't actually learn or go over anything. She was there. She didn't say much or nothing. She didn't leave behind her desk or anything. She was an older woman. And then after that, they only had substitutes. The entire year, we had substitutes, and none of them were English substitutes. One of them was like a woman who normally substitutes for gym class, and then the other one, I don't know, she may have done math or something. I don't know what her normal thing was, but it wasn't English, because for her specifically, she had us write a paper on a thing that was kind of going on at the time, the whole kneeling during the anthem, with the criteria of just write how you would. She would be like, in this scenario, if you were a football player or a whatever player, I think it was football, what would you do, and give your reasonings of why or whatever. And which is fine. I guess that's a thing you can do. It sounds like a little bit of a weird, almost like she was trying to get everybody's political stance or something on it. when we're students, that shouldn't matter to you, whatever. But whatever. I wrote my paper, I turned it in, and she graded everybody pretty well. Like she described afterwards of why she had graded everyone um, decently, being, there were grammar mistakes and there were spelling mistakes, but that might just be how you speak. Okay? I mean, sure, but this is English class. Grammar and all that kind of stuff, spelling and stuff shouldn't matter. Of course, not complaining if it made it rather easy, but why even have, it's almost like this was just daycare. They just needed these people to go somewhere, so they brought them here. Anyway, I don't remember much else happening for that class, other than I do remember one time when the teacher left, some students around me were talking about some rather interesting stuff I felt like they shouldn't have been, you know, talking about, but they were, and just in earshot, not like they were trying to hide anything of the sexual persuasion. But anyway, going on to the other two classes that I started off with, the programming and the Photoshop. For one, the Photoshop teacher, again, he wasn't a Photoshop guy. He was an art teacher, so it was in the same realm. But he himself was learning a decent amount of the Photoshop stuff beforehand. That was a poor shot there. Not saying he didn't know any of it. I'm sure he did know a decent amount, but there was a couple times that I remember asking about something or whatever it was, and he didn't know the answer. He was a cool guy, and the class was relatively easy, and I did have some fun doing it, so whatever. But then the programming class came around, and that was pure dog water. It was a math teacher, and he knew nothing. He knew nothing about the subject, and we at no point actually programmed anything. We used the program Scratch, so it's like a game, like a kid's game for programming, which, I mean, I guess for a starting point is fine for that kind of thing, but we never went past that. Of course, I only had it for half a year. I had to swap this other stuff to get proper credits or whatever. But it was, I mean, I remember, I don't know what the criteria was, if it was just do anything or make a game or whatever it was. But I do remember making a game. I was listening to Seether's Poison the Parish album on YouTube on the computer, uh, and I made like a side-scrolling thing. So like the cat was flying or whatever, and there were buildings below and birds up high, and you to avoid them and pick up coins or whatever. And I remember the students next to me, kids, whatever we won't call them now, the people that were also taking the class with me, seeing all of the blocks and stuff that I had put to actually program the thing and being impressed. It's like there's so much there. How did you do all that? Okay, well, there's a copy and paste function, and if you know that something is going to be kind of doing sort of a thing, then you can just copy and paste it. I didn't put everything down there. Whatever. We did a lot of scratch and then paperwork. So like figuring out programming related things on paper, which again, I guess for a starting point might be fine, but I don't know. It was kind of lame. I wanted to actually do something, and it for me simply wasn't enough. But anyway, the next semester came along, and I had to. This is when I had to swap to other stuff to get proper credits. Gym being one of them. Uh, my schedule had gym my first period, which for one, that's first thing in the morning. And now you got stinky, sweaty all day. Every time the board refreshes randomly. Okay, whatever. No point in not taking it. And I had this thing all throughout school where early in the morning, I guess nervousness or what, but my stomach, I would have pains first thing in the morning. Uh, on days that I'd be not even just going to school, but just going anywhere really. Uh, my dad had it, my brother had it, to varying degrees. I think out of everybody, I had it the least. It wasn't as bad. My brother would actually get sick in the morning. I never did any of that, but my stomach would be bad off in the morning. So I had to change it. I went to my counselor and I changed that so I would have anything else first thing in the morning. Which of course that worked out fine, and I got it later on, whatever. But it caused me to have to change my math teacher. And this guy was an actual math teacher, which was fine, but the way he taught was very give an example, show you how to do it, and then have at it, fellers. He'd go up to the board, he'll give whatever new thing he's teaching or whatever, tell you how to do it, give an example. Anyone got questions? All right, I'm gonna go to my desk and do whatever he did back there, and then stream like Law and Order on the projector, and everybody just did paperwork, just filled out papers, which was, again, this is relatively easy, but in terms of learning, I feel like maybe is not the best approach. And and then after that, I guess, what was it? It was like it wasn't an elective. I don't believe it participated to any kind of credits or anything to that nature. I guess they just needed somewhere for me to go. So the last period of the day, I was just like office aide. So I'd be up in the office with a couple, like 2 or 3 other people. And at any point, a note needed to be brought to a class, which never made any sense to me anyway, because every classroom has a phone. If you need to get in contact with a teacher for whatever reason, then just call them. But you'd have to bring the note to the class. Totally easy. Most of the time, I did nothing but sit there. I watched comics explained on YouTube. And then, at any point, I just note, here we go, take it to the class, or whatever, and do all that. Great. Easy stuff. Until one time, which this is the most, I don't know how this happens, because the school's been around for a while. My parents went to the school. They never built anything onto it. There was like a small extension to the cafeteria, like the outer section of the cafeteria. I don't remember what the number was, but I was supposed to bring a note to, let's say, room 213. Okay, haven't personally been over to that section of the school, so I don't exactly know where it is, but you just follow the numbers and you get there. Easy stuff. I go up there, I go around the corner, I find 212, or 210, 211, 212, 214. I go around in circles for a long while there, trying to find the room. There was at no point a 213. I've done walked around several times over, and I'm starting to get tired, or I don't know, like, what am I supposed to do? Do I go back to the office and ask? I got lucky for a little bit there, or a second there, and a teacher around the corner, and I'm like, "Excuse me, I feel stupid asking this, but where is 213?" And she takes me over to 212, opens the door, and there's like a broom closet. It's like I don't know what it was, but the room had a smaller room attached to it, and that was 213. Okay, so one, the school was built and the doors were labeled, and you didn't label the outside like 212 and 213. You didn't, uh, you know, give the next room the 213 label. Why did you give a small room inside of 212 the number? That's a lot of damage. I don't get it. It made no sense to me, and it's like again, it was built this way. This place was built this way, or they decided to label it that way after the fact. Whatever. I guess the labels could be changed, but it just made no sense. I did get it there. It was some kind of, I guess, mentally challenged students, so there were fewer of them, and they got a smaller room for it, which sounds a little like, I get it. They don't occupy as much space as a normal class would, so you don't need that big of a room, but kind of just shoved them off into a broom closet. Kind of felt like it was a small room. Um, excuse me. Let's see. What was other stuff I wanted to say? Where was it? Um, my first period class for the second part of the year. Uh, it was out in like cubicles. I don't know what they call them. Like it was just like a trailer that they put outside. So there's like not enough room. The school was overpopulated. They had too many students there for how big a building it was. So they made these outer sections, and that's where this class was. And it was like confusing. I don't know what the class was purpose was, if they just didn't have anything else to come up with or what. Let's see here. Read first. Taking 2 rare orbs are added to your deck. Orbs are randomly upgraded. Sure. My deck is already bloated. Might as well add more. Um, so this class was relatively confusing to me. Not that the subject was, but the point. It felt like it was supposed to be English, or like a variation of English, because I already had an English class. But again, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't ask for this class. It was just kind of given to me. But we would like go over some stuff that was like paper, stories or whatever. But not all the time. I don't remember a lot of what we did, but I know that like there was a point where we did the dreaded get to know your class thing. It's like everybody stand, say something interesting about yourself or whatever. I'm gonna die here, I'm pretty sure, by the way. Uh, and that was strange. The way he had it be done, it was just like too real. It was like this class was supposed to be therapy. It was just too real and too serious and too I didn't need to know this about my classmates type stuff. Uh, it wasn't like tell something interesting about yourself. It was um, everybody kind of stand up in a circle, and he kind of stood in the middle, and then he'd be like, "Has anybody ever insert thing?" Anyone who applies to that would kind of step forward, so that way they're more prominent. in the circle or whatever. And it'd be like, there was some innocent stuff. It was like, who in here would consider themselves a nerd or whatever, um, and then it's like progressively started getting a little weirder. There was several other people in this class. It wasn't just a couple people, by the way. But it was he. One of them was like, "Who in here has a pet? Step forward." You know, uh, who in here would let their pet kiss them on the lips? I'm like, well, okay. I mean, I think just that happens occasionally. I didn't, not ideal. That's gross. And then it's like, and dark, of course. But who in here has considered committing Sudoku, committing suicide? And, a couple students did step forward. I didn't, of course. I'm fine. Uh, and then after that, it was like, who in here uh, has attempted it? I'm like, why are we? I feel like this class serves a purpose that isn't obvious. Uh, and there was like a thing where he would pick a student randomly every week, and they would he would ask for a song that they like, and then on Monday he'd find it on YouTube or whatever, and he printed out the lyrics on paper, gave everybody paper, and we'd all listen to it, and then I guess we would talk about the meanings behind what's being said or whatever, which I guess is kind of interesting, I suppose. An interesting way of doing, what do you call it? Meaning behind, I don't know. Meaning behind uh, lyrics or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it exactly. That was fine. And then he was like talking about, I don't know what the subject came up. Oh, I think one of the students was like, why don't we ever learn about, doing taxes or, uh, you know, random other things that everybody would need to be knowing. And he asked everybody, he's like, is that something you want to do? Or I can come up with stuff and we can just start going over random stuff that you felt like needed to be known. Which is, again, that would be great. I feel like that's stuff that should be taught anyway. It didn't ever end up happening, but it just felt kind of weird. Like, is this just supposed to be an all-rounder class? The teacher was a cool guy, but he was strange. Uh, he was a bald guy, and I want to say that I consider him some form of a hippie, because he would wear these giant straw hats. I think they were straw or some kind of, something. And he'd talk about how he has this thing with some other class, I guess, where there's a thing out of the school that is like a garden or whatever. He growing food, and that sometimes he'd uh, give students some of what they grow and stuff like that, which is cool. Uh, and man, now I'm thinking about it more. That class was just he was. No, I'm not saying he's weird, but or not in a bad way anyway. Uh, I would get to that class early because I had nowhere else to go. I didn't have interest in going anywhere else. I just wanted to get to my class, and then I'd take like a small nap at my desk while I waited for class to actually start. So that'd be like 15 minutes or whatever. And I'd go in that class, and he'd always ask me how I'm doing and all that kind of stuff, and I'd always respond with, "I'm doing all right, I guess." And he said, "Why is it always I guess? Why can't it be that I'm doing great and fantastic this morning or whatever?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, because it's not true, but okay, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking." And I've always been... Ow. Okay, aim better, feller. Please go. Oh, wait, what happened? Oh, just choose somewhere random, I guess? I don't know what happened there. Elongated figure lurking in the shadows. Offering. That's too much. Uh, in school, even now, I guess, I was very quiet all the time. I didn't talk to a lot of people. I did have some friends, and I did talk to them, of course, but majority of the time, if I wasn't prompted to speak, I most likely wouldn't. And he had this thing where it's like, anytime I decided to talk, he made it a thing to everybody else that may have been talking at the time, saying like, those who don't speak often or speak quietly, it's important to hear what they're saying. It could be powerful or whatever the wording was. It was very strange, and I don't know what prompted this neither. But there was one time I was terrible. Uh, One time I'd went in there and he said something like, and I don't know what, I don't know what prompted it at all. But he said that that he mentioned me to his wife, and I'm like, great. What do you want me to say about that? What do you want me to say? Thanks. Cool. That's kind of weird. What about me? I come to class, I say hardly anything, and you make a big deal about it when I do. And now you're telling me about your wife. It's a very strange thing to say. It's also, let's see, what was it? It was also the year. I guess I did this kind of in the same period as that class. Is why I'm going off onto this. Is getting my graduation gown and cap was a nightmare because they had made this thing. I don't know if it was mailed or if they brought it to the students during school. Like actually during, that was a lot of damage. Oh, I killed everything. During class or mailed, whatever the case was, I didn't get mine. And I had to take some of the time that I guess they allocated. They was like, okay, we're ready to discuss it with you and all that kind of stuff during that class. So I had to go to the separate office or whatever to find this guy to talk about it. And he was very rude. I don't remember what he said or nothing like that, but it wasn't. Or I don't know if he was rude or he just was, frustrated or whatever the deal was. I felt like something was wrong on his end, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Don't. Uh, I was like, come on, man. I need my gown. I don't want to do this, but I've been guilt tripped by my family to do it, and I guess it was a size issue. I'm a big fellow. I'm working on that now, but I wasn't then. Uh, I guess they didn't have my size or something. And they made it very difficult to get mine, and I had to go discuss with several different people, faculty, whatever, to get it figured out. I eventually did go to graduation. I hated it. But again, I was guilt tripped by my family to go. Grandparents and stuff being like, this may be my last time seeing one of my grandchildren going to graduation. So, of course, that was enough, and I went. But, yeah, high school was just a very big old combination of random stuff that didn't make a whole lot of sense, and a lot of it had nothing to do with me not understanding what was being taught. It was just poor budgets, I would assume, or these people. Wow, these are just going terribly. Uh, or these people just not caring, or some of them caring uh, strangely. Uh, I don't miss school. I don't remember a lot of it. I didn't do a whole lot. No extra curricular activities. Didn't do nothing like that. The one time I did, it went poorly in middle school or early high school. I don't remember what it was. This is the last thing I'm saying before I end the episode. Uh, I somehow got the courage to sign up to do band, and I did cello. I played the cello, and I wasn't very good. I couldn't hold the bowstring the way they wanted me to and all that kind of stuff, but I was never called out on it, so it didn't matter. But that was also the time that I broke my arm, my right arm. And I showed up a couple times to band class or whatever, and I, of course, couldn't do anything. I was just, learning what little I can without actually practicing. And like the third or fourth time going, the teacher's like, "Yeah, you can just stop coming. You're too far behind now that you might as well not even be here." And I'm like, "Well, okay, I guess I got. Where do I even go now?" And I had to figure that out, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But very, I don't know, very interesting stuff. If you made it this far for whatever reason, uh, why? None of that was interesting. But if you have anything worth sharing, share it. If it's not going to, embarrass you or uh, call you out or whatever, don't dox yourself, but share whatever you can. Why not? I'll respond to what I can when I can. And other than that, uh, the moldy watermelon in your fridge needs to be thrown away. And it's best you get to that before it starts stinking up the place. See you later.